Warning: the sound effects used in the duration of the episode may cause feelings of anxiety or stress. Please be cautious while driving, as some loud sounds may startle you.
The air is biting.
Every day you must brave these sub-zero temperatures to survive.
All of your life you've been living here with your family. You come from a long line of fishermen hailing from the Arctic.
One may think that you get used to the conditions of the Arctic, but you never do. No matter how many days you brave the elements, the biting cold still steals the feeling away from any exposed piece of flesh.
You're walking home from a long day, checking traps that you have set while you head back through the squalls of snow.
As you're walking home, you hear the same sounds, see the same sights, and feel the same temperature that you usually do.
Geez, nothing. Another empty trap, you say to yourself.
This is the third trap in a row that is barren. Usually by now at least one has caught something.
As you approach your fourth set trap, something immediately looks wrong. You notice that some of the ropes and wood that make up the trap have been snapped in half.
You run over to the trap's location and look around. Nothing is different. The water that the trap set in is undisturbed, and you see no prints in the snow.
Could the ice have caused this damage, you think to yourself?
You shoo away that thought quickly. You've seen frost damage to your property firsthand, and this was not it. Besides, the ice shelves surrounding the trap are rock solid and have been immobile since you were born.
This has definitely been tampered with. You decide to check your next one.
You run as fast as you can to your next trap.
You trek through the snow and walk over multiple patches of ice.
Eventually, you see the fifth trap in the distance. Thankfully, it appears to be intact, so you continue towards your destination.
Only a few steps away, you see the net that is supposed to be in the water is laying on the icy ground. The elements have turned the fibers of the rope rock hard, with a thin coat of ice glistening in the sun.
Not only that, but there's a huge tear. Now you know something has destroyed your trap.
You go to salvage what you can, but as you approach the edge of the ice, you feel something rhythmically tapping the ice underneath your feet.
You don't think much of it. There are plenty of sea creatures that linger in these waters.
You scrounge the destroyed net and put it in your bag.
You say to yourself, what animal would do this?
Your whole life, you haven't encountered something that has caused this much damage to traps. Nonetheless, you pack up and head home.
You take your usual route home, walking along the ice about 5 feet from the water. You keep your distance, giving respect to the ice, just like your parents had taught you.
You don't know why you take the same route home every day. You've been doing it for years. It's simply comforting hearing the sounds of the ocean.
It'll work out. I'll fix the traps, and I'll be able to start fishing again, you say to reassure yourself.
Then, suddenly, the tapping returns, right underneath your feet.
You look down. The ice is abnormally thin in this area, and you see a quick shadow pass under the water.
You hear the tapping again, followed by a low, rhythmic humming.
In your mind, you remember warnings given to you from your parents about the danger that follows the sound of tapping and eerie humming.
You decide not to take any chances. You sprint.
Despite the possible danger of falling through thin ice, you go anyway, avoiding any spot that looks like it may break.
You run and run and run until one fatal step is taken.
You fall through the ice, down a long, dark tunnel.
Welcome to Campfire Stories, a world of all things legendary and mythical, putting you, the listener, at the center. Each week, your host, Brady Montag and Joshua Cummings, make it their mission to tell you a story you haven't heard before.
Episode 5, The Qallupilluit.
What is the Qallupilluit?
This monster is a grotesque, lanky, and scaly creature with no remorse for its victims.
Many who encounter this demonic being don't realize it is about to strike until it is too late.
According to Inuit folklore, this creature either lurks in the frigid waters or sits close to the edge, waiting to snatch children away.
Although its primary targets are children, the Qallupilluit is also known to snatch away those who intrude on its territory or attempt to intervene in its nefarious plans.
The Qallupilluit's appearance is characterized by its scaly and bumpy skin that shines with a greenish-blue hue which nearly disappears in the Arctic waters.
In some encounters, the Qallupilluit is said to have worn the traditional Inuit parka, a mauti, to trick children into thinking they were safe to approach.
The children, however, would quickly realize something isn't quite right as they got closer. The monster is said to give off a sulfurous smell, and although from a distance looks human, it is anything but.
One way the creature makes its presence known is by its alluring humming or rhythmic tapping upon the ice.
While these sounds may be alluring to some, it is a clear warning sign that the Qallupilluit is near.
For those that do not heed this warning, their demise is almost certain. The Qallupilluit is thought to either eat the children for their youth or place them under a spell to sleep for all eternity.
Your eyes sluggishly open. It feels like you've been asleep for years.
Your head is pounding, and your leg is throbbing.
How far did I fall? You ask yourself.
You sit up, rubbing your head. It's so dark that you can barely see. There's only one beam of light.
You look up and see that it's from the hole you fell through. Where in the world am I? You say aloud.
Your question echoes through the cold, still air. You stand up and try to assess the situation you're in.
The overwhelming darkness in front of you is intimidating. However, you don't let that stop you.
Closing your eyes and breathing steadily, you begin to think, how do I get out of here?
Suddenly, the tapping and the humming that you heard only moments before falling through the ice is echoing through this icy tomb.
You immediately open your eyes. The cave isn't as dark anymore. Your eyes are beginning to adjust to the darkness.
And although it's still difficult to see, you start to make out numerous shadowy figures strewn throughout the cave.
Hello? Is anyone in here? You say out loud.
No answer. You decide to finally move.
Every step you take towards the figures seems to make the tapping and humming come closer.
You know something is coming, but you don't know what. Finally, you come face to face with the shadowy figure and drag it into the light.
It's much heavier than you thought it would be. And as you bring it into the light, nothing in your wildest dreams could have imagined what it was.
A woman trapped in a deep trance. She looks peaceful, but didn't move a muscle. She was almost in a frozen state.
Suddenly, you notice the tapping and humming growing and growing until you see a pair of glowing eyes peek around a nearby corner.
They lock onto you. You don't move.
Then, without warning, it charges.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Campfire Stories. This episode was produced and edited by Joshua Cummings and written by your hosts, Brady Montag and Joshua Cummings. The warning, opening, and closing statements are voiced by me, Sam Montag. The sound effects and music used in this episode were produced by Artlist.io and BBC Sound Effects. Information regarding the topic today has been provided by Cryptid Wiki. If you have any questions about this week's topic or would like to suggest a legend or myth for us to cover, reach out to campfiremyths@gmail.com. Tune in next week as Brady and Josh cover
The Cowpa.